welcome to Warren is Off the Clock number 17. It is a free preview for everyone to see because I talk about this every stream, right? Every time I do MrWarrenHayes, I say, hey, come on over to Patreon, children, come into the Patreon, and I will give you all of the extra post-stream discussions. And a lot of you are like, I don't trust this Hayes guy. I am not sure I should get behind this guy. Especially when he goes, hey, come with me, young whippersnappers. So that's why I decided to do a free preview tonight, so that you can see what we talk about here. It's a little extra. It's a little extra bump, a little more talk. It's a cool time. And we've got people here tonight, which is cool. Just like when we do this on Patreon, we've got Hawkeye who's here. How you doing? When can you be a mod, Hawkeye? When can you be a mod? That's take it into consideration, my boy. Degeneration MC's here. It was early. Got here during the pre-roll. Good for you. Patrick is here. Benoit is here as well. Robert Larry as well. It's good to see everyone here. It's good to see everyone here. Okay. Benoit in the chat goes, so since WrestleMania looks to be pirate themed, will it affect WWE globally? And he says, like Edge being introduced as the rated R superstar. I'm very disappointed in you, Chad, for not having chastised Benoit. Maybe it's because you're afraid because he's a mod. Maybe you're afraid that he would come down on you hard, but I think he deserves a good thrashing for that. No, it was actually pretty good. Boo this mod. It's good. It's good stuff. I'm glad everyone is here. Like I said on the pre-stream, everything was a little more rushed this week. I feel good. I feel a lot better than I did this weekend. Was really, really sick. Threw me off of everything. I had, but I was able to catch up. I was able to catch up on everything. Carlos, how you doing? Yes, this is post show. That's why I don't have a hat. I don't wear the hat on the post show. It's one of the things that you learn. But I was able. It wasn't a fun time this weekend, and it really did hamper my enjoyment of the Royal Rumble. Because look, I'm not going to get into details. We've all had a stomach flu before, right? We all know what that entails. So basically, all you want to do is sleep. You just want to sleep the nausea off, right? So I'm lying there in bed, and I have my laptop set up next to me, and I'm trying to enjoy Bianca Belair set an eliminations record. But all I want to do is look, if I don't sleep, I'm going to the bathroom through my mouth in a few minutes. This is the quality content the patrons get. I'm giving it to all of you for free tonight. No, Ben, at least it wasn't the ice cream this time. I learned my lesson. Jeez. Y'all know about the ice cream story, right? I talked about it on a show before. I'm not talking about it again. It's too embarrassing. But thank you for checking this out tonight. You know, if you feel like it, real quickly, and I don't want to turn this into a big infomercial, but let me get this out of the way. I do extra stuff on the Patreon on a weekly basis. I do my NWA Power Recap every Tuesday. I get on and I record it live for patrons, and patrons have exclusive access to it, early access to it until the next day, until midday on Wednesday to watch the NWA Power Recap before I send it out into the world. We have the post stream here where I take the time to chat more with you guys, have a little fun with the subjects, and you know, I put my post show my show notes up, and my show notes are rarely finalized until like a few minutes before, so you can actually see the show being constructed right before your eyes. And then sometimes I pop on with audio, I react to things. I'm supposed to do a Q&A session. Jesus. I owe the patrons that one. There's a bunch of stuff. So, and there's 2 tiers. Essentially, there's 2. I don't want to get too overly complex with the tiers, but I have 2 of them. And there's the friend of the show tier at $2, where essentially it's like, thank you, Warren, for working on the Mr. Warren Hayes show and all the content you do, the prediction shows, the post shows that you do. Thank you very much. Just like an overall show of appreciation, and that's very cool. And then at the $5 tier, which is the Power Pal tier, that's where you get all the goodies, and all the goodies. I mean, all the goodies. You get it all. You get everything I mentioned here. That's all available for the $5 patrons. So there we go. Look at that. So there we go. So do consider, and February is starting in 2 days. So it's a really good time, like in 2 days, to join the Patreon, because then you start at the start of the month. You get a full month's worth, as opposed to if you started today, where you just like get 2 days in January. Not a really good deal. But if you start on Friday, I'm just saying. Degeneration MC says, I'll join your Patreon thingy if you tell the story, Warren. Okay. God. It's a stupid story. It's just embarrassing. I want to say hello to Sue, who joined us. Welcome. Okay, here's the story. This is how... A couple of weeks ago, I was completely floored. Couldn't get out of bed, or I could only get out of bed to go to the water closet to empty out my insides in a very sickly fashion. And I didn't understand what was going on. I didn't feel sick. I didn't feel feverish. It just happened like that. And I was completely floored for the day. And then the next day I was fine. I was like, what happened? What was going on? And then I thought about it. The night before, 2 nights before I got sick, I get up, I'm doing some stuff. I'm working. I'm going to, I go to my freezer. I open it up and I have a nice carton of ice cream. Scoop some out, go back, I eat it, I get focused, and I work. And sometimes when I work and I get really, really focused, next thing I know, it's really late and I'm tired, so I just drop into bed. I just go to sleep and wake up the next morning, and I go into the kitchen, and I'm like, damn it, I forgot to put the ice cream away. And it was fairly new, like I had freshly opened it. This was maybe like the second bowl of ice cream, second serving that I had given to myself. So I wrap it up. I put the lid back on and I sort of look at it and I'm like, man, what a waste. And I just put it back in the freezer. So the next day, or at least later on that day when I come home from work and I'm having dinner, and then I'm like, for dessert, I'll have some of the ice cream. And, it's kind of hard because it sort of got a little melty during the night. And I'm like, that's not bad. So I serve myself a bowl. Stupid moron. Cream. There's cream in ice cream. You don't leave cream outside of a refrigerator for 24 hours and not expect it to spoil. You stupid moron, Warren Hayes. What? So that's what you got the next day, Warren. You just lay around in bed, miss a day of work because you're puking your guts out because you ate spoiled ice cream. You stupid son of a bitch. That's the story. It's just embarrassing. It's something that happens when you're like 12, right? It's like you're 12 and you put the ice cream away because you don't want dad to get angry because like, oh yeah, I just spent $8 on it. I don't spend $8 on ice cream, but you know what I mean. It's like, and I'm over 40 and I'm doing that kind of stuff and I'm like, it'll be fine. What's wrong with me? There you go. That's the story. And Carlos says that I do last minute writing and does better than Raw. Thank you. Honestly, sometimes Raw's not bad these days though. I actually enjoy Raw, but I know what you're getting at, Carlos. Degeneration MC says, shame on you for not just eating the whole thing in one sitting. Yeah, you know, maybe that's the technique. I should like get 1.5 liters of ice cream and just scarf it all down. That way it won't be left out on the kitchen counter for over the night. And yes, I did become Warren Sprays, Benoit. Jesus, that's disgusting. All right, let's talk about wrestling now. It's enough about my digestive tract. Oh, Sue is new to the podcast. Well, welcome. Welcome. Glad you could make it. We're going to talk about, I feel like talking about NXT tonight, and I want you guys to chime in because I find that NXT, look, doing the Wednesday Night Wars podcast, as you can see right here of the little graphic, that's right up here in my scrolling banner place right there. Doing the Wednesday Night Wars podcast last night with Alex Pulowski, I got really excited. Alex Pulowski and Jeremy Lambert. I got really excited when we started talking about NXT and got to the point where we had to talk about Shotzi Blackheart because I just love Shotzi Blackheart. And she got her tank back. She has her tank. Her tank is returned. All that's missing is Peck. But I marked out when I saw the tank. And I was really, really happy because that just brings the whole Shotzi character full circle, right? You know, then you get the headgear. Then you get the punk aesthetic. Everything just works. So I'm looking at her arrive. I get excited and I'm like, damn, I'm really looking forward to talk about it. She's fighting Deonna Purrazzo. Deonna loses to Shotzi. I'm like, holy smokes, there's someone backstage who really likes Shotzi when you think about it. And I'm pumping this up to Alex and I'm like, Alex Pulowski, you know, it's so cool. Someone really likes her backstage. When you think about it, when she wins her match against Deonna. Then in the number one contenders match in the Royal Rumble, she eliminates Shayna Baszler. Then when she fights Shayna Baszler, sure, she loses, but man, she struggles. Shayna struggles to have her tap to the Kirifuda clutch. I'm like, dude, she's in for a push. And Alex like, sure. And anyone who watches the Fightful stuff knows how Alex is, right? And so he's all like curmudgeonly, and he's like, sure. But what about Deonna? Deonna's so good. What are they doing with Deonna? Why isn't Deonna winning? I'm like, yeah, because Deonna Purrazzo is criminally underused. She is unquestionably one of the best women's talent that WWE has. Without a doubt. She is a wrestler's wrestler. And you saw, if you saw what she did last night against Shotzi in the short amount of time that they had allotted to them, the way she picked apart the Shotzi's arm, just worked on it and twisted it around. It was very precise. It was so methodical. It was wonderful, is what it was. Well, I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking to myself, and I'm listening to Alex, and I'm like, you know, the same can be said with Chelsea Green, who lost in her match in the evening. And I'm like, you know, it's such there's so many uber talented women in NXT right now. We're going to be confronted with that question. It's never going to be as simple as, first and foremost, it's never going to be as simple as, oh, well, clearly these are the women who are protected, and these are the ones who are going to be fed to them. You know, maybe outside of an Aaliyah or a Vanessa Bourne, who are maybe more on the fodder side of things. You have so many women who are there where you could just flip a switch and push them and they'd be credible. And it's nuts to think that they're in that kind of position where they could just like decide to push whoever they want, right? I gotta be onto something here. Patrick says I like Shotzi a lot. I think she's great. Sue says it could be way better, but I won't stop watching. Superstars need more creative freedom to cut promos. That's absolutely. That's a whole other stream right there. That's a whole other discussion. And you see Carlos says in the chat, Deonna and Chelsea need to be used better. And Degeneration MC says the death of NXT's women's division is terrifying. It really is. Deonna and Chelsea do need to be used better, But then the question is, to whose detriment then? And this is such a beautiful problem that WWE has, is like whoever they decide to push, it is going to be, because you can't push everyone, right? It's always going to be to someone's detriment. Let's say they do decide to push Deonna. And that being said, I just want to clarify one thing right here. These are all women that I think are fantastic. These Deonna, Chelsea, Shotzi, these 3 women that I love, I adore. They're extremely talented. They're so good at what they do. There's not one of them that I would say maybe no. To me, they're all on the same level. If you go, what was I trying to get at? I lost my train of thought. So that's it. So let's say you decide to push Deonna. This is just as an example. Do you then decide not to feed Mercedes Martinez to her? Do you not push Mercedes? Do you stop pushing Candice LeRae? You see how this goes? And I mean, last night, you have Chelsea Green, who goes up against Kaden Carter, and everyone's like, well, this, an exhibition match, a showcase match for Chelsea, who's going to get the win. But no, then you have Kaden Carter, who clearly always had this capacity to be promoted as a top contender in the NXT women's division. They just flipped a switch, and they're like, okay, let's... And instantly she's elevated into all our eyes. We're like, wow, this is cool. Did it hurt Chelsea? I don't think so, because I think Chelsea has a really good character. I think she has a good push around her. But this is the situation that they're in, and where we as fans are always going to be a little insatiated. Lack of satiation. What am I trying to say? We're not going to be entirely satisfied, because there's always going to be a really talented woman who's going to have to be put in a position where she doesn't get the push just yet. And it's crazy to think that that's the situation that we have in NXT. Because I mentioned Mercedes, and then there's Kaden Carter, who pops out of nowhere and gets a win, and you're like, suddenly, well, okay, well, she can go too. And then there's still Santana Garrett, who is a storied and traveled wrestler who they're sitting on right now, that they could bring in at any moment and would be just as credible as well. They have Paul Ellering, Rachel Ellering, who's there as well, who has worked the independents. She's fantastic as well. They have Scarlett Bordeaux, folks. Scarlett Bordeaux. If all you've seen from Scarlett is her work and Impact, you ain't seen shit of what she can do. It's bananas, the depth of women that they have, and the women that we're not seeing. And they're still developing their own talent. Like, Xia Li is coming into her own and is being promoted as credible. And ultimately, well, look, just before I keep going on, I want to read a few things here. Let's see. Degeneration MC says Deonna and Chelsea could be pushed as a tag team. Well, you see, they scrapped that idea, and it's really weird to me, right? Because that's what they wanted to do. They even had matching logos. They had a common theme song. What was it at the first episode of NXT on USA, or the second? They introduced them in the audience both together as a tag team, and now it's like, no. Now they're apart. Chelsea's doing her thing with Robert Stone, and Deonna's leaning into the virtuoso persona, and that's really the best thing for her. It's really strange. Patrick in the chat says, I think they should put Deonna back with Chelsea in this Robert Stone band and give him a bit of a push. I think it would be ideal for them. We'll see how this goes, but I think Chelsea, it works fantastic for her. Deonna, the virtuosa thing works well for her. More than starlet, paparazzo kind of thing. I don't know. We'll see. But it's not, all ideas are good. We're all chatting here. We're having a good time. Robert Larry says, overall, the NXT women's division has more depth, talent, and matches are 10 times better than the main roster. Agree or disagree with my comment? I think there's depth everywhere in all of WWE. I think it's just particularly glaring in NXT right now. I think they're overflowing. I wouldn't say 10 times. There's a lot of depth. There's more depth because there's more women. Just that simple. Carlos says, send some women to main roster with a direction. No kidding. Sue Hines says, NXT is amazing. No kidding. Patrick Mason says, women's division is insanely good. No kidding. Robert Larry says, NXT has more storylines with their women's division than the main roster. It is so crazy. I don't know if they have more storylines. They have more matches. I think there's a fair enough amount of storylines. I find they've been doing a pretty good job with women's storylines in WWE on the main roster recently, especially on Raw. Patrick says, not to mention, they also have Taynara Conchi. That's a really good call, Patrick, who is highly underrated. The problem was Taynara had that god-awful match with Santana Garrett a couple of weeks ago, and I think that took a lot of wind out of her sails. Maybe, on the level of trust that WWE has in her, but that woman is very good. Sue Hines also adds, Toni Storm, Candice, Rhea, Shayna are awesome. I'm sure they are better in NXT away from Charlotte Flair. Oh, that's a thought. Ben says Taynara flipped over to enhancement talent land. Degeneration MC says, found Warren's new catchphrase. No kidding. Put it on a t-shirt and profit. Well, we're going to try and do something with the you guys stuff first. One catchphrase at a time. If you put all the A material out at once, no one realizes it's the A material. I don't know what I'm talking about. So it's a good problem to have. And Chad, I'm going to posit this question unto you, and I really want your feedback on this. Let me know what you think. But I think the question answers itself. I think it's a good problem I think it's a better problem to have. Too much quality women's talent and good direction like they have here versus a situation in which AEW is living right now with its women's division, where there is a lack of strong women's talent that can carry matches in any type of circumstance. And it's hard. It's hard to not make comparisons between the two because they are head-to-head on Wednesdays. It's difficult. But I do understand at the same time that NXT works with some advantages that AEW doesn't have in regards to training and giving a direction, like a wrestling direction to its women, because WWE has a performance center. It has trainers and a regimen that is used to create a unity in how matches are structured and performed. And I understand that. And I'm not stupid. I'm not just saying, AEW's throwing it all away. Like, I understand that fundamentally there is a rather wide difference there. AEW doesn't have AEW doesn't have the benefit of a performance center where they can have their women do drills and go train for days and weeks when they're not on tour. That's the thing. Everyone lives in Orlando. They go on tour once every month, every 45 days or so. When they do a little tour and they come back. In the meantime, they're in the PC and they're training. The AEW doesn't do that. They don't have that. And their women all come from very, very different backgrounds. I think one of the problems that AEW had at first, and I think it's still the case today, is that they're not pushing the right women. I think they're pushing the women that they felt could carry the division at first. I think they put a lot of hope and they put a lot of hope on Britt Baker and Nyla Rose at first, where everyone sort of realized once we saw them in the ring performing that Nyla's way too green, and to a certain extent Britt Baker is as well. I think it's more of a question of just in-ring time more than because she's good. She will only improve. That's the thing, is that you can tell she's got naturals, and when it comes to wrestling, she's going to get there. It's just right now she needs the in-ring time. Is this the moment should she be pushed to the forefront of a division to carry a division when she clearly can't? Then you have some weird decisions where, you have Chris Statlander fighting against Brandy Rhodes, and as good as Statlander is, she hasn't been wrestling all that long. However, she has clocked in a lot of matches. I'm talking about hundreds of matches in her very short career. She's maybe not hundreds, but over 100 matches. Should pull up the stats here, but I'm sure one of you guys are yelling out there. You're gonna figure it out and tell me. She, being a ring general in and about itself is not something that's innate to you. And I think that's one of the reasons they kept Emi Sakura around so much, because Sakura is a trainer. She trained Riho. She trained a whole bunch of people. Maybe one of the reasons why they kept her around, because she could help guide the younger women. But then again, she's versed in Joshi, which is another style of wrestling to what a lot of women in AEW are accustomed to. Big Swole, Britt, not necessarily well versed in there. But then you have someone like Bea Priestley who can easily transition between the two, and they're not doing anything with her. I don't know why their go-to feud isn't Hikaru Shida and Bea Priestley. Both of them together have the same background as far as wrestling training goes. I don't know why they just never flipped the switch on that one and just let them tear it up. And someone like Bea would be able to create a hybrid match, a Joshi Western style, would have been fantastic. Would be able to adapt with Shida. Shida's fantastic. Shida's absolutely fantastic. But no, look at what we're doing here. Look at what we're heading towards here with what happened on Dynamite this week. We're heading towards Nyla Rose against Riho again, which wasn't an outstanding feud or a barn burner of a match to begin with either. And Britt Baker being positioned as the top heel, who in ring, because her character work is great. I think she's going to find her own as a heel. But as far as her in-ring goes, she won't be there yet either, unless she's maybe working heel style will help her. Maybe that absolutely possible, actually. But we're back to where we were. Why are we pushing these women when you have ready-made, ready to wrestle, competitive, high caliber women that you're for some reason sitting on? And Shawn is fantastic. We haven't talked much about her, but she's one of the most experienced members of the AEW women's roster. She's been in the business for 12 years, for Pete's sake. She's been all over the place. And you can tell she's a solid worker. Except when she works with Nyla Rose, as we saw on Dark. That was terrible. Let's see here. Benoit says the Nightmare Collective is no good for the women in AEW. I think they're scaling that back, right? Aren't they? I haven't watched Road 2, because someone told me that they're running a therapy angle with Brandy, or was it on Dark? Like, I missed it. I think they're doing away with it. I don't want to give away a spoiler on Dark, but I know there's something that happens this week on Dark in regards to the Nightmare Collective. I think that one's done, and I'm okay with that. Carlos says, I think the way AEW is set up for the women, they let the women take outside dates. Yes. They can all still take independent dates because they're not a touring brand yet, as they do TV tapings, but they don't do house shows and the like yet. So they do let their women do outside dates, but that's why B. Priestley is still in Stardom. That's why Riho still does stuff. I think it's in DDT or Dragons. I think it's DDT, right? Or Sendai Girls. I don't remember. So you know, it still doesn't explain why they aren't pushing some of the more reliable talent that they have. Robert Larry says, question to the gang. Which female talent from the WWE will have the following? 1, a major push. 2, a title shot. 3, released by WWE. I'll let you guys in the chat go for that one. Ben says, less goth cult gimmicks, better booking, focusing on getting the talent, less green, with working TV matches. They got to put in the work. And like I said on the pre-stream, because I agree with you, Ben, and not on the pre-stream, but on the main show tonight, I swear at this point, there is something we just do not see, that we don't see. There's something happening behind the scenes that is keeping the women from shining. Because I don't think it's the women themselves. I really do believe there's an approach, there's a structure that's being created or that has been created, that there's politicking. I don't know. I don't know who's producing the matches. I don't know what's going on, but the formula that exists right now to develop the women's division is not working. And like I said on the mainstream, what breaks my heart, Degeneration MC says Shana has my heart in a headlock. Carlos says focus on Sheeta, Statlander, Swole, and Baker. Build around those 4. Priestley, man, B. Priestley. I agree with your 4 picks. Let's make it 5 and throw in B. Priestley. AEW wanted to do things differently. That was their tagline, that they wanted to change the world. They said, we're going to do things another way, the different way, but they're not impressing me. They're not impressing me as far as the women's division goes. And it breaks my heart because there was a lot of promise built around it. And I refuse to believe that this is all that everything started to come apart and they still haven't recovered since Kylie Ray left, because Kylie was such an integral part of the division. I refuse to believe that. Yes, Kylie Ray was a woman that you could have built the division around. Still is. But didn't work out. She went her separate way. She decided to head back to the Indies. Cool with her. Whatever. If that's what she wanted and it's her happiness that matters, I'm fine with that. But I refuse to believe that they've been unable to recover since then. That it threw such a monkey wrench in their plans. And it all started falling apart. And I mean, they still only give 1 match for the women on Dynamite per week. Well, we get what? SCU versus the Hybrid 2? You need to start getting more women out there. They need to get more TV time. They need to get their sea legs. And it's a problem just like NXT has, but it's an ungrateful problem, because they really are stuck in a situation where they apparently don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And I don't know what they promised. What they promised Britt Baker or Nyla Rose, but neither of them were ready to be in the positions that they were expected. That were expected of them. Is Riho the best choice as a champ? I think at first, not anymore. I think they do need to move the title around. And I think they should be, look, they do these 4-man, 8-man tag matches. They're doing the Elite versus the Lucha Bros and the Dark Order. Is it the Dark Order next week? I can't even remember. No, Santana and Ortiz. Santana and Ortiz versus and the Lucha Bros. Right? Isn't it Santana? I can't even remember. Off the top of my head, I can't remember. Where are our 8 women tag matches? Like and get them on TV. Sometimes all you need is a tag match to have everyone look strong because it's easier to hide the weaknesses in these types of situations. Have some triple threats. Just mix it up a little. But what they're doing right now is doing favors for no one. And I like Ariel Monroe, Big Swole. I like Chris Statlander. I like Hikaru Shida. I like Riho. I like B. Priestley. I think I've mentioned that enough. I like Sadie Gibbs. God damn it! I don't know what they're doing. And then there's still a bunch of women who haven't been signed. But honestly, right now in the state the division is in, if I'm a woman on the independent circuit, do I want to rush into AEW's arms? I think AEW fucked up, letting Mercedes Martinez slip through their fingers. Because Mercedes not only could have been a true-to-form anchor in their division, she could have been a coach, a mentor, and a general for all of the women. Or maybe they tried their best too, by the way. I mean, this is pure speculation. Maybe they did try their best and they just couldn't match WWE money and Mercedes. Mercedes has been in the independent circuit for 19 years. I am 100% okay if she gets a big paycheck, gets to live in Orlando, probably with loved ones, friends, doesn't have to tour as much because she has been on the road for 19 years, have a medical facility that she can have access to work on her nagging injuries or little aches and pains. I can understand that for her, it was the better choice to head to NXT for herself, for her career. I completely get that. Plus, I am 100% convinced that she is going to bring so much to that locker room. Maybe AEW just couldn't match that kind of deal. I don't know. I'm spitballing. We're just shooting the breeze here. That's what we do here on Warren is Off the Clock. Degeneration MC says, problem is booking, not talent. This could be universal. This could be universal with wrestling in general. Sure. I agree. It's just especially glaring, I find, with the women in AEW right now. Don't the women usually only get, Patrick says this, don't the women usually only get one match per episode of Dynamite? Maybe I'm wrong, but it sure seems that way. That is the norm. That's Butcher and Blade teaming with Lucha Bros. Thank you, Patrick. That's right. Then Santana's facing Moxley. See, that when I'm off the clock, man, I just lose everything. I lose everything. Ben says it would be a mistake to put the title on Nyla. Yes. Yes, it would. Because then, what do you do? Does this mean we're going to lead into Nyla versus Awesome Kong? Because that is something I do not want to see. Much respect to Awesome Kong and her illustrious career and everything she's accomplished and everything she's done for women's wrestling. But I'm not sure I want to see her at this stage in her career in a high stakes fight. There we go, folks. We're going to wrap this up tonight for Warren is Off the Clock, the free preview of the usual Mr. Warren Hayes show post stream that I do for Patreon, for patrons on Patreon, patreon.com/Mr. Warren Hayes. If you enjoyed this and you want to get a little more, do consider becoming a Power Pal level member of the Patreon. $5 a month will get you all the goodies. All the goodies. All the goodies. You can go check that out. I really, really appreciate it. John is coming in from no particular podcast at GPQ. John PQ. He's coming in just as I'm ending. Good job, John. Thank you for playing. But I do appreciate GPQ quite a bit. He is a faithful patron of the Mr. Warren Hayes show. I want to thank everyone for joining me. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you do consider becoming a patron. And I do hope to see you next Thursday once again on youtube.com/Mr. Warren Hayes for another edition of the Mr. Warren Hayes show. And this was a great chat. It was a lot of fun. Hope you all, I hope we get the chance to do this again. Come and join me. It's a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time.